Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Mental Health Moment. I'd like to start with a simple question. Have you ever lost a friend without losing them to death? Maybe they moved away. Maybe your careers took you in a different direction. Perhaps family responsibilities took over. Or maybe life simply happened. For many of us, friendships were easier when we were younger. We saw people every day at school, spent weekends together, and often had a close knit group of friends or that one person who seemed to know us better than anybody else. But adulthood changes things. Work demands more of our time and energy. Relationships grow, children enter the picture, responsibilities multiply, and before we know it, the deep friendships that once felt effortless require intentional time and effort to maintain. As adults, many of our social interactions shift toward coworkers, neighbors, fellow parents, and community members. These relationships can be meaningful and important, but they often feel different from the close friendships many of us remember having earlier in life. And while we don't often talk about it, that change can sometimes leave us feeling disconnected. The reality is that many adults aren't lacking people in their lives. They're lacking the kind of connection they once experienced with close friends. And that's an important distinction. Being around people is not always the same as feeling connected to people. For some, friendship loss happens because of conflict. For others, it happens because life simply takes people in different directions. Neither person necessarily did anything wrong. Circumstances changed and the relationship changed with them. Yet many of us can immediately think of someone who was once an important part of our lives. A childhood friend, a college roommate, a former coworker, someone we laughed with, leaned on, and shared meaningful moments with. When we miss those relationships, we're often missing more than just the person. We may be missing the conversations, the support, the sense of belonging, and even the version of ourselves that existed during that chapter of life. The good news is that meaningful connection can still happen throughout adulthood. It may look different than it did years ago, and it may require more intentionality, but it's still possible. Sometimes it means reaching out to an old friend. Others, it means investing more deeply in the relationships already around us. If you're finding it harder to maintain friendships than it was 10 or 20 years ago, it doesn't mean that you failed. It may simply mean you're experiencing a very normal part of adulthood. The important thing is to continue creating space for meaningful connection, because while friendships may change over time, our need for connection never truly goes away. Thank you for joining me for this week's Mental Health Moment with Dr. Matt. Take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and perhaps consider reaching out to someone who's made a difference in your life. Sometimes a simple message can remind somebody that they still matter.